guys, my name's Shawn and we've got a Climb Fit live class on. This is going to be a 20-minute arm balance tutorial, and I'm just going to take you through I'll just break down the class. We're going to do 10 minutes just to warm up the muscles that you need for arm balancing and just to loosen things up a little bit. And then we're going to break down a few common and not so common arm balances, and you can give them a crack and have a bit of fun with it. You may notice there's going to be a few people walking around in the background. They're putting together the new bouldering section here at the Climb Fit Kirawee Gym. So don't worry about them, worry about what we're doing here. Got Paige here by my side. She's going to be trying out some of the stuff that we'll be doing. And yeah, that's it. You want to add anything?
No, just keen, excited to see what you've got in store.
Yeah. I love arm balances. I feel like when you do this stuff, it kind of makes you feel like you're a kid again. And so with this stuff, just have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. I think we sometimes fall into a trap when we want to really get it right. And with this stuff, it's just you just try it out. And if you fail, then you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to try it a different way or do something different. I think that's one thing actually that's good about climbers in general. I think climbers are good at just not giving a shit about failing at something. Just happy to try it again, try it differently. That's how you figure things out. That's how you get better at things. Yeah. All right, are we ready?
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. All right, so we'll just do a little bit of a warm up just to loosen things up. The wrists are really important when it comes to arm balances. If you ever feel any pain in your wrists, just make sure you back off a little bit, take a little bit of a break. Don't push it if you're feeling wrist pain. Okay, so let's start off on the hands and knees, coming to all fours. Bring your hands under your shoulders, make sure your knees are under your hips. And you're just going to start to circle your shoulders around in some small circles. I like to start in a clockwise direction, but we're going to do it in both directions anyway. Start to make the circles a little bit bigger if you're comfortable. Start to breathe through your nose and become aware of your breath. And then switch directions, go in the other way. As you're doing this exercise, see if you can just pay attention to where the weight is on your hand. So when you move around in a circle like this, there'll be one fingertip that has a little bit more weight than any other fingertip. See if you can concentrate on that, because that's important when it comes to arm balancing, to know where the weight is, and then to be able to apply the weight and apply the pressure into the correct part of your hand. One more time, take a full circle. Perfect. And then just bring your shoulders above your wrists again. We'll do a couple of cat-cows. So with an inhale, lift your tailbone, lift your chin, look up. With an exhale, round your back, squeeze your belly in, spread your shoulder blades apart. Inhale, lift the tailbone up again, look up towards the ceiling. Exhale, round your back. Okay, do that another 5 times. Sometimes it's nice to get creative with these things and move a little bit side to side. Move a little bit forwards and backwards, make some circular, kind of intuitive movements. Just try and notice, where is your body tight at the moment? For climbers, it can often be in the side of the body, the lats, right? They get really tight. Couple more. And round your back one more time. Hold this position. So really important when you round your back to try and spread your shoulder blades apart, so your shoulders move away from your spine. And this is a way that we can actually access the strength that we'll need for our arm balances. Try and turn your biceps forwards and squeeze your forearms in a little bit. Hold it there for another breath. And then come back to a flat spine. Okay. And then from here, just sit back on your heels. And I'll just explain one concept that's going to be central to all the arm balances, which is the idea of pushing with your hands and then trying to squeeze your forearms and your elbows in towards one another. This is how you create stability in your shoulders, and this is how you activate your chest muscles, which is what you really want to be able to do when you're doing an arm balance, is activate that full amount of strength that you have and the maximum amount of stability that you have in your arms, so that you don't fall out of the arm balance, and so that you feel solid when you're in the arm balance. So let's put that into practice in plank pose. Okay? So bring your hands under your shoulders, tuck your toes, come to the top of a push-up. Okay, so get into the habit here of pressing your hands into the ground. You're going to round your upper back, just like we did in cat pose. Spread your shoulder blades away from one another. It's called protracting the shoulder blades. Now try and turn your biceps forwards and try and hug your forearms in towards one another. Imagine there's magnets on your forearms. Your arms might get a little bit shaky as you do that, so that's good. That means we're turning on the muscles. Keep holding there, keep breathing there. Squeeze your belly in. 3 more breaths. If you want to warm up the wrists a bit more, loosen up the wrists a bit more, lean onto the tips of your toes. And if that's a bit too much for the wrists, then just shift it back a little bit. Keep hugging the forearms in. One last deep breath. And then come into downward facing dog. Lift the hips up and back. And feel free just to use this one just to kind of stretch the body out. So pedal the heels down. Lean the hips from side to side. Just make your body feel a little bit looser, a little more comfortable. Get into the habit of breathing through your nose. The habit of taking long, slow, deep breaths. And in down dog here, we can even get the activation in the arms that we'll need for the arm balances. So here, you want to try and avoid your elbows splaying out to the sides. Try and hug your elbows in a little bit. If you look at your arms, you're almost trying to turn your biceps forwards, and then you're trying to hug your forearms in. This will give you much more activation through your arms. From there, look towards the knees, push the chest towards the knees to open up the upper back. Keep breathing. Keep your core engaged. And now come forwards into plank pose again. Keep that activation. Rotate your biceps forwards. Hug your forearms in. Squeeze your belly in. Now we're just going to do a couple of yoga push-ups, which involves lowering halfway down to what's called Chaturanga Dandasana and then pushing back to plank. So with an inhale, you're going to lower halfway down, squeeze your elbows to the side of your body, and then with an exhale, push back to plank. Inhale, push back to down dog. Exhale, stretch your heels down a little bit deeper. Alright, and actually we'll just change that breathing a little bit, just to make it consistent with yoga. So inhale, come forwards into plank. Exhale, lower down. Squeeze the elbows in. Inhale, push back to plank. Exhale, push back to down. See if we can do that 3 more times. Inhale, plank. I'm going to hug the forearms in, biceps forward. Exhale, lower, hug the elbows in. Beautiful. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down. Last 2. Inhale, shift forwards. If you want to make it a little bit harder, lean further forwards, go into the tips of your toes. Back to plank. Back to down dog. Last one. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower. Squeeze those elbows in. Inhale, back to plank. Exhale, back to down dog. Take a deep breath there. Then just step to the middle of your mat. Grab a hold of your opposite elbows. Relax your head. You can just move a little bit from side to side. Loosen up the hamstrings. Loosen up the back. Let your arms and shoulders relax for a moment. Release your arms down. Start to roll your spine up. Beautiful. And step your left foot forward, right foot back. And, orient yourself any which way. Probably good if you can see the camera for this one, so you can see what we're going to do. You're just going to stretch out the inner thighs. So firstly, what you're going to do is make your feet parallel. It usually involves turning your toes in a little bit. Get the outer edges of the feet parallel. And then fold forwards. Get your hands close to the ground, on the ground, and then start to fold the head towards the ground. Don't need to force your body here, just try and gradually let your body feel the stretch. Now Now come onto your fingertips, lift your head forwards so you've got a flat back position. Now you're going to turn your toes out to a 45-degree angle. So your toes are pointing away from one another. And then you're going to bend your right knee, walk your hands towards the right. What you should end up feeling here is a stretch on the inner left thigh. You feel that, Peg? Yeah, you're pretty flexible, so you may not feel it too much in this one. All right, move towards the left, and then sink the inner right thigh down. If you don't feel it that much, just feel free to go a little bit deeper. All right, if you want to test your balance, do it without your hands on the ground, hands together, shift to the right. Stretch the inner left thigh. Push your right knee a little bit to the right. Use your right arm to do that. That creates a slightly deeper stretch. And then go to the left and push your left knee to the left. Open up the hip a little bit more. One more time on either side, to the right. Make sure you push your right knee to the right. And then to the left, and push the left knee to the left. Perfect. Come back to center. Bring your feet about hip width or slightly wider than hip width. And now we'll come down into a squat, yogic squat. So turn the toes out a little bit, push the knees wide, and then look straight ahead. And we'll just take 3 or 4 breaths here. This is called malasana, the Garland Pose. And this is one just to get a bit of hip flexibility. Some of the arm balances we'll do today, it's useful if you've got that kind of mobility in the hips. One more deep breath. And bring your hands down, and then lower your knees down. Okay. Feeling a bit warm? Yep. All right, good. Cool. So we don't want to waste a lot of energy on the warm-up because we want to have a bit of energy to actually do the arm balances. So the first one we're going to do is crow pose. This is the most common one. And so I really want you to remember what I was saying before about these elements of squeezing your elbows in and hugging your forearms in. That's how we're going to activate our chest muscles. That's how we're going to activate our tricep muscles. And that's how we're going to stabilize our shoulder blades, our scapulars. One other thing that you want to do, especially for crow pose, and this goes for many arm balances, is that you want to try and round your upper back like you're doing cat pose, as that's going to give you much more strength and stability in your shoulders. So if we apply this to crow, I'll just give you a quick demo. There's different places you can have your knees when they connect to your arms. So I'll show you what's usually the most common, which is knees to triceps, knees on the back of the triceps. What I'll do from here is round my upper back. Now I squeeze my elbows and forearms in, lean forwards, press the fingertips down, and then hey presto, you'll find that point, hopefully, where your feet lift up. If you're not finding that point where your feet lift up, it usually means you've got to travel further forwards. One thing I'll say, fear can be a factor with these things. So if you have a yoga block, you can put a yoga block out in front of you. That can sometimes just be a mental thing or a couple of pillows, whatever you have, just use whatever you've got at home. Let's give it a go. Okay, so get yourself into a squat. You're going to get your knees, plug them into your triceps. You're going to reach forwards, plant your hands down, spread your fingers out. Then lift your heels, start to lean forwards. As you do that, round your back. Now squeeze your elbows in. Now hug the forearms in. Now press the fingertips down. And then see if you can find that point where your feet are going to lift up. If they lift, for good form, point the toes. Squeeze your heels close to your buttocks. Keep squeezing the elbows in. If you're not quite there, lean a little bit further forwards and press the fingertips down. And then lower the feet down. And then lower the knees down. How'd you go? A little shaky. First few are always a little shaky, then once we get a little warmer into it, it should feel a little bit better. Now, swing your legs in front of you. Another thing that's really good to have for any arm balance is just a little bit of core strength. So we'll work on doing crow pose on our back, and you'll get a sense of how much core strength you really want to have when you're doing these arm balances. Okay, so what you're going to do, we're going to move from a hollow body position, which is this position where your shoulders are lifted, your lower back is flat, and your heels are just above the ground, okay? So get that position. If you start to arch your back, then just make sure you either put your feet on the ground or you bend your knees. Now from here, press your hands towards the ceiling. Should feel your core really working here. And now bring your knees to your triceps. So that's our crow pose. Try and round the upper back, spread the shoulder blades apart. Inhale, extend your legs long. Exhale, knees to triceps. Inhale, extend the legs long, lower back flat. Exhale, knees to triceps. 3 more. Extend long. Knees to triceps. 2. Extend long, inhale. Knees to triceps. Last one, extend out. Knees to triceps, try and hold it there. Lift the shoulders, round the upper back. Press your hands a little bit higher. And then release. Okay. Rock yourself up. How'd you go with that? You feel it? Yeah. So that gives you a sense of like how much we really want to use our core in our arm balances. Otherwise we just end up relying entirely on our arms. And arm balances is about getting this synergy of muscles, like getting all of the muscles involved so that we feel a bit lighter when we're doing it. Okay? So I'll just show you another way of doing crow pose as well. If you don't feel that solid, if you don't feel that comfortable, what you do is you take your knees wide and you squeeze your knees into your arms. That gives you a lot of assistance in doing this action of squeezing your elbows in, and that gives you a lot of assistance so that your elbows don't chicken wing out to the side, which happens when we don't have that much stability in the arms yet. So if I show you from this angle, what I do is I wrap the knees around the triceps, lean forwards, round the upper back, and then I hug onto my arms with my knees in order to lift the feet. So give it a go that way now. Beautiful. Point the toes, Paige, try and squeeze the heels up. Ooh, that's it. Squeeze the elbows in. Nice. How do you feel that way?
Feels weird because I'm used to putting them on the back of my arms.
Yeah.
So to have them on the outside is a different feeling.
Yeah, true. Some things are just habit, right? When we get used to doing something a certain way, that will feel easier. And then trying something a different way will just feel a little bit weird. But certainly if you're learning, if you haven't done it before, that's how I recommend doing it, is just having the knees around the outside of the arms. Okay, so let's move on now, and we'll do side crow next. But first it's good just to warm up with a little bit of a twist. So just for this one, step your right foot forwards, move your hips down and forwards. Just open up the hip flexors first there, place your hands on your front knee. Lift your chest up, take a deep breath. Now lift your left arm up. Lean a little bit to your right, so you feel your left side body stretching. And then from here, take your left tricep on the outside of your right knee. Take your right hand, stack it on top of your left hand. Push into your right hand, turn your chest. If you feel like focusing on balance here, tuck your back toes, straighten your back leg. Squeeze the inner thighs in here for stability. Turn the chest. Turn the shoulders. Try and get that right shoulder to go up a little bit higher. Okay, lower the back knee if it's lifted. Undo the twist. And then right foot back, left foot forwards. Okay, with both hands on the left knee, lift the chest up, take a deep stretch. Take a deep breath. Lift the right arm up. Really reach the arm up like someone's pulling your arm up. Lean a little bit to your left. Then take the right tricep on the outside of the left knee. Wedge that in position, stack your left hand on top. Turn your chest towards the left. If you want to, tuck your back toes, straighten your back leg. Squeeze the inner thighs in if you're doing that. And little by little, turn your shoulders and your chest towards the left. Look down, release. And then come back onto your knees. Yeah. Okay, so that's just a little warm up for the spine, because that's what we want to have. So the next one is Ashtavakra, which means side crow. And side crow involves a little bit of twisting. So if you kind of struggle with the twist, this one might be a little bit harder. If you find twisting is pretty good and your spine is quite mobile, doing those kind of things, then this one might actually feel easier than regular crow. Anyway, so with this one, it definitely is more technique than anything. If you get your hands in the right position, if you get your elbows into the right position, this is really easy. If they're not in the right position, you'll feel like, what am I doing? It's not going to happen. But like many of these things, it's a bit like riding a bike, yeah? When you get it the first time, it's like, oh, I get it. And then it's like you'll have it forever. So to set this one up, you're going to to come into a squat. Do this one with me, Paige. Feet together, knees together, and then you're going to take the right tricep on the outside of the left knee. Yeah? So get into that twist. Now, your knees are going to be pointing in one direction. Say they're pointing forwards. You're going to point your fingers to the left. Okay? From here, what you're going to do, your left elbow is not connected to anything at the moment. When you bend your arms, bring your left elbow to your left hip, lower your head down, and then try and sweep one foot up at a time if you can. Beautiful. Okay. And now come down. And now I'll just explain a little more of the trickery in terms of getting into this one. So just watch this for a second. So I just said there that when you come down, make sure that you get your elbow to your hip. That's so important for getting stability and getting that connection so that our elbows aren't splaying out to the sides. Now, the other thing that's important is obviously getting the feet to lift up. So to make that happen, you can do it in two ways. One is you can just kind of lower your head down and somewhat hop the feet up, like that. Or another way that I like to do it is what you'll find is usually the foot that's on the outside is not going to do anything. Like you can lift that one up easily. It's the foot that's on the inside that's the hardest to lift up. So it can be good to step the right foot, that's the outside foot, out of the way, lift the inside foot up first, and then once the knees are stacked, then you can more easily stack the feet. Alright, give that a go. You want to try that?
Yeah, that's good. Get that one out of the way.
Yeah, like that, and then lift. Yeah, how does that feel for you?
Good.
Yeah? Easier? Is that the way you normally do it?
To lift up, get the right one out of the way and then lift the other one.
Yeah. Because with these things, it's just like finding that counterbalance. Once your head is in the right spot, once your head is low enough, your feet will lift, your hips will lift. Okay, let's try it on the other side. So, set it up again with your knees together, heels lifted. Take your left tricep on the outside of your right knee. Take your hands down, point your fingers to the right. Lean in that direction, right elbow to the hip. Step your left foot out of the way. Sweep your right foot up. When your head is close to the ground, try and stack your left foot on top of your right foot. Hold there and breathe. See if we can do 3 more breaths here, Paige. Stay with it. For the shot, eh? Or for the glory. Alright, that'll do. Come down. Okay. Alright. So, hopefully you're finding some success there, or at least just finding some awareness of where is the body weight. I was saying before that you really have to know where the weight is on your hands to do these arm balances with awareness and to do these arm balances well. So one thing to know is that your fingertips are really the handbrake on your arm balances. So if you feel like you're going too far, then you just need to press your fingertips down and that will give you enough to just stop you from going any further. Yeah? Okay, so the last one we're going to try is Ashtavakra. This is called Ashtavakra, 8 crooked pose. I'll show you what this looks like. Now I'll just show you the pose first and then I'll explain it because the setup is a little complicated. But I'm going to come into this position, cross my ankles, plant the hands down, and then try and straighten the legs and squeeze the legs in towards the arms. And that's it. This one is a little bit like a game of Twister. You've got to get everything in the right position and it will work. If you get everything in the wrong position, then it's going to feel impossible. But let's give it a go. So to set this up, you're going to sit on your right buttock, swing your legs to the left, and now you're going to bring your left ankle on top of your right ankle. Yeah? And now the first step that's really important here is that you want to flex the feet so that these feet are really like chain linked together. If you point your toes, the feet are going to slip apart. So make sure you flex the feet and they'll feel really connected. Yeah? Cool. Perfect. So now the placement of the hands is important. So the left hand is going to go underneath the right knee. The right hand a little bit wider than shoulder width. Okay, now we're at the point where everything's in the right position. It's just a matter of getting into the arm balance. So with this, I'll explain 2 things. One, the left thigh is going to push into the left arm. That's one thing that you have to do. You have to push the left knee towards the ground. The opposing force is your hands. You have to push your hands down to lift yourself up. So just watch one time. I'm going to lower my head, push my knee down, push my hands down, and then try and straighten my legs. It's a bit of a coordination exercise. You've got to try and do everything almost at the same time, and then you'll get the right result. All right, ready? Okay, let's give it a go. So maybe take your hands a little bit wide. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, so remember you're going to start to, you can do it slowly, the first one here. Start to lower your head, push your left knee down. Now try and straighten your legs as you push with your hands. Beautiful, look towards the feet. Hold there and breathe. Hug the right elbow in close to the body. All right, and then come down. Yeah. Have you done that one before?
I don't think I've gotten into it like that. I was
awesome.
getting into it,
Yeah, right. Cool. So let's try that on the other side. So you're going to lean onto your left butt. Take the right ankle on top of the left ankle. Remember to flex the feet, get that strong chain link so the feet don't slide apart. Take the right hand underneath the left knee, left hand a little bit out to the side. Make sure, so this left elbow is so important. If this thing chicken wings out to the side, you're not going to have any stability. You've got to try and get this left elbow hugging into the left side of your body in order to have the success that we want for these arm balances. Okay, so start to lower your head, push your right knee down, hug your left elbow in, and then try and straighten your legs as you push your hands down. Hug that left elbow in, look towards the feet, hold there and breathe. Remember to press your fingertips down. Okay, and that's probably enough. All right, how'd you go on that one?
Good, nice and warm.
Yeah, once you do a few of them, you actually start to feel better and better, I think. And they start to feel a little bit easier in the body. I think that's about it from me. It's about all I can teach you today. There's so much more that you can do with arm balances, but that gives you a taste of how to start to work on them. If you struggle with push-ups, you've got to work on your push-ups, yeah? Like if you can do 10 push-ups, I'd say arm balances are well within your strength. It's more just like, do you have the technique? And so if you have the strength, then just learn the technique I've shown you here. Or if you don't have the strength, then just work on your push-ups, get strong at that, get strong in your core, and then the technique will really help you and it'll all come together. Awesome.
Thanks guys, see you next time.
See you guys later.